So you have a pyramid, a square pyramid of 35 base sides, and the height or the axis is 60 It is resting on HP on one of its slant edges. So this is a point to be noted. It is resting on HP on its slant edge. Okay. Then you are asked to draw the projections of the pyramid when the axis is inclined to VP at 45 degrees. Now here the thing is there is no inclination to HP given. That is, in the second step, what is to be done? Generally, in the second step, you are inclining to HP, but that is not given. However, inclination to VP is given, so third step is given. And this important point is given. One of its slant edges, it is resting on HP on one of its slant edges. This is very clearly given. So this is your second step basically. It is resting on HP on one of its slant edges. And this is going to decide whether it is going to be resting on an edge or resting on a corner. Okay. So I'll just draw the 3D view and show you how it is going to look like. Hmm. So if you observe here, I think I'll show both the cases. So here, uh, this particular case is resting on a corner. Anyway, I'll show you both the steps so that you understand very clearly. And you need to tell me which I should apply in this particular problem. A, B, C, D, and O. Just observe the second step. C, D, B, A. So, if you see this step, what do you feel? What is resting on HP? Okay, to compare with, I'll draw the other version also. A, B, C, and D. So, what do you make out of these two? I think this I have to draw it a little more. Yeah. So, what do you feel is the difference between these two versions? The first one, the second one. Anybody? Hmm. Yeah, somebody, Baldev, randomly. Okay, Baldev, what do you feel? What is the difference between this first and second variant? Which is resting on edge, which is resting on corner? Okay,
So
Chinmay.
the left side is on edge. The right side is on corner.
Okay, so you mean to say this first one is resting on edge, the second one is resting on corner. That is what you mean to say.
Yes, sir.
That is correct. Absolutely. So, in the first step, this is resting on edge. This is resting on corner. Okay. And how do you make it certain? CD, you can say that CD is on HP. Here, A is on HP, basically. So it is as good as saying that your not A, sorry, yeah. This is the fundamental difference here. This will be C, not A. So C, A, yeah, this B and D will remain the same. Hmm. Okay. So in the first case, which is resting on edge, when you incline the pyramid, you are inclining it about the edge CD, the edge on the right. So when you do that, then CD will be on HP, and CD is the edge about which you are inclining the pyramid. Okay. Now in this particular problem, what has happened is after inclining, you find that there is a triangular face OCD on HP. Okay. So OCD on HP. This is what is happening. So this means this is a case where the triangular face is on HP and that face is OCD. Okay. Whereas in this second case, you are drawing in such a way that it is resting on a corner. Okay. And if you incline the pyramid, you are inclining it about the corner C, the corner C is on the right. Okay, and when you do that, then you are ensuring that C, the corner C is on HP. Okay, also in addition to this, in this particular problem, you will find that OC, that is the slant edge, this slant edge OC, slant edge is on HP. So this is the point which I want to make it clear. And if you see the problem that we are about to solve, this is what is exactly given. It is resting on HP on one of its slant edges. So this is the case. So this is your first step, resting on corner. This is your second step. So you incline about the corner C. You incline in such a way that this slant edge OC is on HP. So these are problems where it is not directly given whether it is resting on edge or corner, because if you read the statement you cannot make out whether it is resting on edge or resting on corner. But since you know what the second step is like, you want the slant edge on HP in the second step. Now you can only have the slant edge on HP in the second step if you make it to rest on a corner in the first step. Okay, so this is an indirect way of finding out whether it is resting on a edge or whether it is resting on a corner. If you want the triangular face on HP, you should make it to rest on a corner, or you have to incline about a, sorry, make it to rest on an edge or incline about the edge CD. If you want the slant edge to be on HP, you have to make it to rest on a corner or incline about the corner C. It won't be explicitly given in the problem statement. This is the point I want to make. Okay. Third step is normal, as you have in this case. The axis is inclined to VP. So this axis O1 or this axis O1 is inclined to VP by whatever angle is given. So there will be this inclination. Okay, phi, it may be true or apparent, that we'll see later. So I think I'll draw like this so that you can see the base clearly. If I draw in this way, the base will not be seen. However, if I draw like this, then it will be clear. Phi may be anything, 40, 45, in which in this case is 45 degrees, no problem. On this, you have to draw the axis. So if it is resting on edge, then this is how it's going to be. C, D, B, A, O. If it is resting on a corner, this is how it would be. This would be O. So this would be C, this would be B, A, and D. O1 should be O. Okay. So the axis O01 is inclined at the angle phi. The angle may be true or apparent, that we'll see. But this is how the third step would be. Okay. The important thing here is the second step. Now, based on the second step, you have to understand how the first step should be. So these two steps are important. Third step is your regular step only, inclination to VP. Okay. So now in this particular problem, we are dealing with the second type, resting on corner. So this is your first step, the square resting on a corner. Second step, you have to incline about the corner so that the slant edge OC is on HP. That means in the front view, O dash C dash would be on XY line. Third step, the axis O1 should be inclined to BP. And then we have to see whether it becomes a locus problem or not, depending on the inclination and depending on whether the axis reduces in length in the second step, top view or not. Okay. But this is how the things would be: resting on edge, triangular face on HP, resting on corner, slant edge on HP. Okay. So with this background, let us start with the 2D solution. So XY line, VPHP, first step, this resting on corner. So we'll have to start with a point here on the left or on the right. It is up to you. I would start on the left, and this would be the point A. And then I will draw a horizontal line for my reference. Now, why I'm doing all this is because I have to draw the edges, 35 mm edges at an angle of 45 degrees. Because resting on corner is a different case. So that is why I have to do the resting on edge is straightforward. You can draw the horizontal line and start. But resting on corner, this is how I generally start. So 45 degrees. Now I will locate a 35 mm line from the corner A at 45 degrees. Yeah. So this would be corner B. Okay. And this length is 35. Okay. Then I'll do the same thing with AD also. From A, I'll draw a line 35 mm long at 45 degrees, but towards XY line. Towards XY line. This would be D. So now you can use the rounder. What you can do is you can measure 35 mm with the rounder. Okay. And then with B as center, length 35 mm, you make an arc. With D as center, length 35 mm, you have to cut the arc. So this would be C. So this is how you can locate the corner C, provided you have the corner B and D by using the rounder. So this would help you to draw the square resting on a corner. This is already done for planes. Now, if you look at this top view, then you can't make out whether it is a problem on planes or whether it's a problem on solids, because if you look at it now, it looks like it's a plane. Now, how do you know that it is a solid? You will come to know if you join the opposite corners, A to C with dark line and B to D with another dark line. If you join the diagonals, these diagonals will intersect at a point which you will call as O, which is the apex. And directly below O, you have O1, which is the center of the base. Now you know that this top view belongs to a pyramid. If you join these two opposite corners with lines. If you leave it like that, it will appear as if the top view is that of a lamina, square lamina, not a solid. So please keep that in mind. Many of you make the mistake. You don't draw these lines. So it looks like it's the top view of a lamina, not a solid. So once that is done, our regular method, draw the three projection lines to VP. Okay. Now what you will observe is, since ABCD, the base is on HP, ABCD, all these points, the front view will be on XY line. Only the front view of O, the apex, will be 60, or what is that height, 60 mm above XY line. So this point would be A dash, this point would be C dash, this point at the center would be B dash into bracket D dash, and of course don't forget O1. Okay, O1 is also at the same location because O1 is the center of the base. Now the only point which will be 60 mm above would be O. So this projector of O you have to extend above XY line by a length equal to 60 mm. So this is O dash and this length is 60. Okay. So now apply the first rule of visibility. What is that? Do you remember? Hmm? The first rule of visibility, join the outermost exterior points by solid straight lines. That is the first rule. Apply that. So which are the exterior points here? Of course, O dash, A dash, C dash. So these are the three even you can say B dash, D dash and O1 dash. All these points are on the exterior. So if you join all these, you'll get a triangle in the front view. And that is the front view of this particular pyramid in this position. So join the outermost exterior points by solid straight line. So you can see the triangle. This is how it looks like in the front view. However, it is not complete. It's not complete. If you take a look here in the front view, how many triangular faces will you see? There are 4 triangular faces. So in the front view in this case, how many triangular faces do you think you're going to see? 1, 2, 3 or 4? So what many of you, by seeing this 3D diagram, yes, you can make out that, okay, maybe one is seen or two are seen. But there is another way by which you can easily find out, just by looking at the 2D diagram, how many triangular faces are seen in the front view. I'll tell you how. Please observe. What I'll do is, see, uh, you see this center line, that is the line joining O2C and O2A. So this is the center. What you do is, you have to just see in this 180 degrees, this angle is 180 degrees. In this 180 degrees line of sight, how many triangular faces are seen? There are two, OAB and OBC. These two triangular faces are behind. You won't be able to see them. Now, why I have taken 180 degrees is because 180 degrees is generally the line of sight, or maybe slightly less than that, that an observer is going to see. Now, if you just look in front of you, you may be able to see to your left and to your right and in the front. So it is almost like you are covering 180 degrees area. That is your field of view. The 180 degrees behind you, you are not able to see. Okay, so with that logic, we are going ahead. So whatever is enclosed in this 180 degrees, those triangular faces you can see. So OAB and OBC can be seen clearly. So if OAB and OBC are seen very clearly, that means in the front view you should get two triangular faces. So if I join this OB, that is O dash B dash, in the front view by a solid straight line, then you can see two triangular faces are seen in the front. So this is what you have to go ahead with, this 180-degree line of sight. Here it is simple, but when you go for say hexagonal pyramid or pentagonal pyramid, there it will be very useful because you will have more than two. You may have three triangular faces, okay, or two triangular faces. So whatever is within this 180-degree line of sight, those triangular faces will be seen 100% in the front. This is another small thumb rule which you can keep in mind in case you are not able to understand this or visualize this 3D view. Okay, now second step, as you have seen, you have to rotate about the corner C such a way that the slant edge OC is on HP. So in the front view, it is as good as saying O dash C dash is on XY line. So this O dash C dash should be placed on the XY line. That is our second step because the slant edge OC is on HP. So how to do that? Please observe. I'll start with C dash because as you can see here, C is on the left, O is on the right. So I'll start with C dash, some distance, some 10-15 mm. I'm going to leave and I'll start with C dash. And then I'm going to locate O dash. So I'll measure this, it is around 65 mm. You can use the rounder also. So 65 mm away, I'm going to get O dash. You can join them and this is the slant edge O dash C dash in the front view or OC in the 3D view, which is on HP as per the statement of the problem. Okay, now you have to find another corner A dash and complete the view. That's it. So now you can use the rounder. Measure the distance from C dash to A dash. Yeah. So measure distance from C dash to A dash. Make this arc. And then measure the distance from O dash to A dash, which you know is 65 mm. Same as O dash to C dash. So measure this distance and then with O dash as center, radius equal to around 65, cut this. So this point would be A dash. Join them, O dash to A dash and A dash to C dash. Now the front view is not complete because you have to locate the center, that is O1 dash, B dash, D dash, which is right at the center. So that should be easy because you can take the center. It's around 49 mm. Yeah, so you can say 24.5. So somewhere around here. So this point is the center of the base, and this is O1 dash and B dash, D dash. Join O1 dash to X value. Sorry, to O dash, which is on the X value. This completes your second step front view. So this is the front view you're going to get when the slant edge OC is on HP. So this is the case. This is how it looks in the front view. Okay. Next step is routine. Vertical projectors from the front view, horizontal projectors from the top view. So vertical, vertical, four vertical projectors and three horizontal projectors. One, two, three. They will intersect and give you the second step top view. So now very carefully you have to locate the intersection points. O and O, O dash and O. This point is O. O1 dash and O1. This point is O1. So that takes care of the axis. Now the base ABCD. You can start with A dash. So A dash and A. So this point is A. B dash and B. This point is B. C dash and C. This point is C. D dash and D. The topmost point is D. So this is the top view. You can see here A on the right, C on the left, B down, D up. So now, again, to complete the top view, you require to apply the thumb rules, the rules of visibility. So what is the first rule you're going to apply? Yeah. Manali, what is the first rule that I'm going to apply here for the second step top view?
Sir, I was absent for last two classes.
Huh?
Sir, I was absent for last two classes.
So that is the rule you're going to apply.
Sir, I don't know the rule.
See, I'm uploading these videos now, then you have to go through them because now I don't think you can make head and tail out of what we're discussing. Yeah,
So I'll go through it. I was not feeling well.
yeah, now you will have everything to say now. Miss the classes, not feeling well. Anyone else can tell me? Uh, Next, who is there? Pradeep.
Yes, sir.
Ah, which rule should I apply here? Visibility, the first rule, to get this second step top view.
Joining the exterior points, sir.
Exactly. So find out the outermost exterior points and then join them. So which points do you think are the exterior points? Yeah, Harsh. Harsh, can you tell me which are the exterior points?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please tell me. There are 6 points. Which do you think are the outermost exterior points? Is O?
Yes, sir.
How about D?
D, no, sir.
Why?
So because it is at the back.
No, see, we are focusing on the exterior points, na? We want the outermost points. Okay, how about this A? How about O1?
So A will not be the exterior point.
So it is an interior point. How about O1? So if you
So
have this
B and
confusion,
C.
then
So
then
B
there is
and C
only one way.
exterior points.
Yeah. See, there is another way. If you are confused as to which is the exterior point and which is the interior point, then there is only one way to solve that. You have to look the points which are on the extreme periphery. Okay. So if you look at that, then you can see it is O, D. See, if you draw a line from O to D like this, is there anything that exists out of D or away from D? Nothing. That means very clear O and D are the exterior points. Okay. Now, how about O and B if you join? Is there anything that exists outside B? Any point here? Nothing. So B is the exterior point. Okay. Now you have to choose between these three, A, O1 and C. Okay. Now suppose if you join B to A and A to D, then O1 and C will become exterior. You can't do that. If you join B to O1 and O1 to D, then A will become interior, C again will remain exterior. So then you have the only option of joining B to C and C to D. Only if you do this, then A and O1, these 2 points clearly become the interior points. Okay. So in this case, O, D, C, B. These are the 4 outermost exterior points. Whereas A and O1 are the interior points. Okay. However, this doesn't complete the top view. There are some other things also, some thumb rules which you need to apply. Okay, the second thumb rule, the important thumb rule which we had applied last time also was whether the base is seen or not. Do you remember that rule? So, what is the inclination of the base with HP? What is this angle? Is it more than 90 or less than 90? When you look from the top, this angle, the inclination of the base with HP, is it more than 90 or less than 90? It's very clear it is more than 90 because 90 would be here. It is more than 90. It may be around 110 degrees is what I feel. I don't want to be exact. There is no need. It is very clear by the rule that if the angle, you can say theta, is more than 90 degrees, then you will see the base. If the angle is less than 90 degrees, like in the previous problem, I hope you remember this. Here. See this. What is the inclination here? 50 degrees, less than 90. See, if the base is less than 90, the base will not be seen in the top view. That means what? If the base, the inclination of the base is more than 90, the base will be seen in the top view. That is what is happening here. Please understand. The inclination of the base with HP is more than 90. So when you look from the top, the base will be seen. And if you see the 3D view also, you can make out. If you look from the top, the base is completely seen. Okay. So if you say that the base is seen, that means you have to join A to D and A to B, because all these edges and corners are seen. So join A to D and A to B. Okay. OA. So AD and AB, these are the two edges. Okay, so this clearly indicates that the base is completely seen. Okay. Now if you remember, this odd shape, into how many triangles can you divide? So that, I think this also we have discussed. Not sure. I don't know. Here. Yes. I hope you remember this case. This one. In the top view or in the front view, if you want to find out how many triangular faces are seen, then you can apply this rule also. Into how many triangles can you divide the shape so that the corner of the base is joined to the apex and not to each other. So in this case, we had joined O to A and O to B so that three triangular faces are seen. Now if you apply the same thing to this case, so what I want to find out is this odd shape. O, D, A, B. Yeah. This odd shape which I have redrawn here, this into how many triangles can you divide so that you are joining the corner of the base to the apex and not to each other. So the corner of the base, if you join to the apex, into how many triangles can you divide?
2.
Exactly, 2, because already O and D are joined, B and O are joined. What is left? A and O. If you join this, done, 2 triangles. So that is exactly what you need to do. Join A and O. So in the top view, you are seeing the base ABCD and 2 triangular faces OAB and OBD. Okay. And the entities which are not seen are these OC and all. You see this OC, the slant edge which is right at the bottom on HP, it won't be seen at all. It is covered by the base and these 2 triangular faces. So that you can show by hidden lines, lines like this, hidden lines. This completes your second step, top. Okay. Third step, you have to draw the inclination to VP, which in this case is 45 degrees, and you have to place the axis O1 on that 45-degree line. So I'll be extending this Y slightly because I think I'll be needing some space here. So I'll mark a point here and draw the 45-degree line. So this is the 45-degree line which I'm going to draw. Now, you have to tell me whether this is a true inclination or apparent inclination. The axis is inclined to VP at 45 degrees. The axis doesn't appear to be inclined. The top view of the axis is not inclined. The axis is inclined. So 45 degrees. What is it? Is it a true inclination or apparent?
True inclination.
Exactly. So the 45 degrees is phi. It is a true inclination. Okay. So that is what I have drawn here. 45 degrees true inclination. Now on a true inclination, you should get the true length. The true length of what? The axis, because the axis is inclined at 45 degrees. Now what is the true length of the axis? How much is the true length of the axis? 60 mm. This is the length of the axis. Okay. Now, in the second step top view, that is here, this second step top view is what you are going to incline in the third step. So in this case, now what is the length of the what is the length of the axis? So can you see what is the length now of O01 in the second step top view?
55 mm.
Yes. Is it less than 60? Of course. That means what? In the second step top view, the axis has reduced in length. Why? Because you can see here in the front view, O01, is this line parallel to HP or parallel to XY line? No, it is inclined. So when this line is inclined and not parallel, how can you expect the top view to be in true length? So the axis O01, this is the apparent length and it is around 55 mm. Whereas this is the true length and it is 60 mm. Got it? So this is a true length 60 mm, this is the apparent length 55 mm. Now this 55 mm is what you can keep here. But can you do that? You cannot. You cannot keep an apparent length on a true inclination. So this problem is a locus problem. You have to solve it by the locus method. So here also you have the locus method. So now you have to apply the same locus method that you had applied in planes. There is no change in this. So since it's a true inclination, you have to locate or draw the true length of the axis on the true inclination. So you know the true length 60 mm. So no problem, you mark a point here O. This is the apex. And then 60 mm. You can draw a 60 mm line. This is a 60 mm line. So this you can say as, for the time being, you can call it as O1. We'll change it later. So this OO1 is the true length, which is 60 mm. Okay, now at O1, I will draw the axis line. Sorry, the locus line. The locus line. And now I'm going to use the rounder. Measure this 55 mm, the apparent length. apparent length, and then with O as center, radius equal to 55 mm, I will cut this locus line. So it's going to cut here. If you join, you can name this. Yeah, now you have to be careful because this also will be O1. So you have to make this the true length as O2, just to differentiate between the two. So please note, the true length is OO2, which is 60 mm. The apparent length is OO1, which is 55 mm. So now if you join O and O1, this is the axis line which is in its apparent length. So this is the apparent length which is 55 mm. This is your locus method. Now if you extend this line back to XY line, you can find out the beta inclination which will be more than 45 degrees. You can do that. Okay. So let us do that so that the process is complete. So what I'll do is I'll extend this apparent length onto XY line. So you will have one inclination like this and the other inclination like this. So this is your phi, which is 45 degrees, and this would be beta, which would be more. You can find out the angle, maybe it's around 50-55 degrees, not sure how much. You have to measure and see. Definitely it will be more than 45 degrees. So what I'm getting is around 53 or 54 degrees. Okay, so you can see around 53 degrees. You can see beta 53, phi 45. Okay. Now this is not our point of interest. Our point of interest is to redraw this second step top view in the third step. So now for that you have got O and O1, the apparent length here, O and O1. You forget about O2 now. The relevance of O2 is not there once you have got O and O1. Now only focus should be on O and O1, which is 55 mm long, apparent length. Now around this you have to locate ABCD and try to complete the third step top view by repositioning the second step top. So again you have to take the help of your rounder and scale. Okay. Now why I told scale here is because, see, on this straight line you have O, you have O1, you have A and you have C. You have got 4 points. Now already I got O and O1. You can easily locate A and C with the help of the scale. So what you can do is, yeah, so it is 10 mm to the left, 10 mm to the right of O1. So 10 mm, 10 mm. So what I'll do is, I'll keep the center here at O1. Yeah, and I'll locate a point here, 10 mm up and 10 mm down. So this is one point, this is the other point. So this point is on top, so this is A, this point is C. So I hope you can make the inference. On the same line, you have O, you have A, you have O1, you have C. So that I have inclined it here. So O, A, O1, C on the same line. A and C are 10 mm to the left and to the right of O1 as you have here. 10 mm, 10 mm. So this is how I can easily locate A and C with the help of the scale. Now to locate B and D, I need the rounder. Okay. So what I can do is, the easiest way would be, measure the distance from A to D. I'll tell you why. You want to locate D. If you measure the distance from A to D, see here, A to D, A to B, C to D and C to B, all these lengths are same. So if you measure one length, it is more than enough. You can complete it. So that is why I would like to use this A to D or A to B as the reference. So what I'll do is I'll just measure that length with center as A. I'll just draw an arc here on the left and arc here on the right. With the same distance with center as C, I'm going to cut the arc. So with the one length only, I can finish off and I can easily locate this point which is B and this point which is D. This is faster. That's it. You have got all your points. Join them. So C to O, C to D, C to B, B to A, and A to D. And of course, B to O and O to D. And please don't forget O to A. So you have successfully repositioned the second step top view in the third step at 53 degrees, the beta angle, because this was a locus problem. Okay. So quickly let us complete the third step front view. So you need to get the final front view. What you got now is the final top view. So the same process, draw the less number of projections first. So in this case, they are horizontal projectors. There are only 3, 1, 2, and the third one is on XY line. So draw those projectors first because they are less in length. So draw them first. No need to draw the one on the XY line because it is already there. So don't draw that again. Start with O1. You need to extend it a bit because the lengths are more. Then go for A dash. So 3 horizontal projectors from the front view and 6 vertical projectors from the top view. So these 6 projectors, it is better you draw one by one, otherwise 6 by 3, 18 intersection points. And you have to locate only 6. So you have to be careful here. So what I would suggest is, you draw the vertical projectors one by one and locate the points. So starting with O. First start with the axis or with the base, it's up to you. So I'll start with the axis. So from O, I'll draw a vertical projector. It will intersect here on the XY line because O dash is on XY line. So this point is O dash. Then I'll move on to O1 and I'll project O1. Till here, the second projector, because O1 dash is here. So this point is O1 dash. So I got the axis O dash, O1 dash. Now I'm left with the four corners of the base A, B, C, D. So one by one I'll project them, starting with A. So A, I have to extend till the topmost because A dash is right on top. Okay, then B. B is the next because B dash is the second projector from the top. So I'll extend B till here. So this point is, you can say B dash. Should not write it here. B dash. And then C is on the XY line because C dash is on the XY line. So you can project it till there. So this is C dash. And D is again the projector of B dash and D dash are same, the second projector. So extend till there. So this would be B dash. Sorry, this would be D dash, not B dash. D dash. B dash I have already located here. So this would be D dash. Yeah. Done. A dash, B dash, C dash, D dash. Okay. So now apply the rules of visibility. To apply the first rule. So the first rule, join the outermost exterior points by solid straight lines. So here it may be a bit tricky. I'll tell you the reason why. Of course, this O dash, C dash, D dash and A dash, no problem here. These four lines, these 4 points are exterior, you can easily make out. The question will come or the confusion will come with B dash. Because you may feel that it is the exterior outermost point, but if you practically see, it is not. Okay, so I'll show you. See, if you join the outermost points like O dash and C dash, no problem. Then C dash and B dash, no issues. D dash and A dash, yes. These are the exterior point because there is no point beyond these points. Okay, now the question comes. Many of you may feel that B dash is also an exterior point and you may join O dash to B dash and then B dash to A dash. It doesn't work like that. Okay, because see, if you see very carefully, I think, not sure, I feel there is a small gap here between O dash and A dash. So that means what? This B dash is slightly on the inside, yeah. I have drawn this projector wrong. I should have drawn it to the scale. So it is slightly on the inside. Yeah. This is B dash. Yeah. See, there is a very small difference you can see here. O dash to A dash and O dash to B dash. There is a very small difference between this. But what will happen is if you join O dash to A dash, it will be very clear. See here. See. If I join O dash to A dash, you can see B dash is slightly, maybe 1 mm inside this line. So that makes B dash an interior point by maybe 1 or 2 mm, not much. So the gap is not more. So you have to be very careful in such cases. It will be like this only. I think most of you may be getting it like this. Isn't it? You are getting B dash as an interior point or exterior point?
Interior.
Yes. But what is the gap? Is it very less or too much?
Less.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is the point. So hardly 1 or 2 mm will be the gap, which will make a point an interior point or an exterior point. Just imagine if B dash was slightly 1 mm away, it would have become an exterior point. Then you had to join O dash to B dash and then B dash to A dash. Okay, so O1 dash and B dash are the interior points. O dash, A dash, D dash, C dash are the exterior points. So you have joined the exterior points. That's it. Now, the second rule, I think this also we have discussed. When you look from the front, which is nearer to the observer? Is the base nearer or is the apex nearer? You can check out here also. You are standing here and looking in the front view. Which is nearer to you? Is the base nearer or apex nearer?
Base.
Yes, so that is the next thumb rule. Since the base is nearer to the observer than the apex, the base will be completely seen in the front view. So since the base is nearer to the observer, you have to understand that the front view, the base is completely seen. So base means ABCD. So already you can see A dash, D dash is joined. D dash, C dash is joined. What is left? B dash, C dash and B dash, A dash. Join them also. You can see here. B dash to A dash and B dash to C dash. So the base ABCD is completely seen in the front view. Now it becomes interesting because there is a very odd area here which you have to divide into number of triangles, and I'll just show you how the area looks like. So the area is something like this. So this is O, this is A dash, of course this is O dash, A dash, this is B dash, and this is C dash. So now this shape is what I have redrawn here. Now this odd shape, into how many triangles can you divide? So that you join the corners of the base to the apex and not to each other.
2.
How many?
2.
By joining what?
So B dash to O dash.
Exactly. If you join B dash to O dash, you are dividing into 2. So OAB and OBC, 2 triangular faces. One triangular face OAB is very small. I mean, that is how much you see. Whereas OBC, you can see it with a larger area. So if you join O dash to B dash, you can see here. This is one triangular face OAB, very small amount it is seen, whereas OBC, you can see quite a larger extent. So that means in the front view, you are seeing three entities. In the final front view, you are seeing three entities. One is the base ABCD, second is the triangular face OBC, and next is another triangular face OAB. So three entities are seen in the front view. Last step. Okay. Now the ones that are not seen, you have to represent by hidden lines. So I don't think there is any, because the base is seen. Yeah, there is one entity, O dash D dash, the slant edge. This is actually a physical edge, a slant edge, which you are not going to see, so you can represent by hidden lines, dashed lines. And don't forget the axis O01, that is O dash, O1 dash, axis line. That's it. This completes the projection of a square pyramid resting on HP on its slant edge, basically resting on a corner, resting on HP on a slant edge, OC, and then the axis is inclined to VP by 45 degrees. That is a true inclination. However, it's a locus problem, so you have the apparent inclination as 53 degrees. This is the top view, this is the front view. Okay. So I guess we'll stop at this because you also need to prepare for your exams. So we'll meet after all your exams are over. So make best use of your time and prepare for your labs and theory. So I think all the circulars you have received probably. You know the date and time when your exams are scheduled. Yeah, all of you know the date and time, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, lab exams schedule you got?
No, sir. Lab exams we don't go.
I think that has to be uploaded. Okay, we'll do that. We'll upload it maybe today or tomorrow, and you'll get to know, or by Monday, worst case. So anyway, all the best for your exams. So that's it. You can put your roll numbers and you can leave. If you have any doubt, you can ask me.